Welcome, one and all. You're back once again, episode number 13. That's a baker's dozen. Thoughts and hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back. I know y'all can't get enough. I'd like to welcome my fellow scumbags, lowlifes, hustlers, fienders, degenerates, all you guys, to this happy little world that we call sports wagering. A so-so week last week, not a good week, not a bad week. I mean, 16-13 is okay. Most of the losses came on the NFL side. If you break down the numbers and look at them the way that we look at them, because college has always been our specialty and it always will be. We had good numbers in college basketball, the picks we gave you, college football, the picks we gave you, and then we, shat ourselves on Sunday with the NFL. So it is what it is. But anyway, I'm kind of going crazy right now because I got two games in action that I already bet tonight. I got Georgetown against Villanova, college basketball. Georgetown is an 11.5-point dog, and they lead by 13 at halftime. Gotta love that. And then I took Arizona State minus 9.5 in the Territorial Cup against Arizona. And it's 28-0 as Rashad White just ripped off a 93-yard touchdown. Every time Arizona gets their hands on the ball, they fumble it, they turn it over. It's a beautiful thing when you have ASU minus 9.5. I went to a couple Territorial Cups when I lived down there in Phoenix. Oh, loved it. Loved everything about it. But I'm an ASU guy, not U of A. Took the Sun Devils, and I'm dancing on that one, and Nova too. So those are the only two games I got left in action. It just goes to show how hot I've been, and I can't even begin to tell you how hot I've been in college basketball, which I can't really give you a daily selection show. So we got to do it how we do it. We can only really give you games one day out for college basketball. College football, we can do the weekend, and NFL, we can do the weekend. But we'll see what we can come up with, okay? College basketball, let's start there. Tomorrow, Saturday. Last week, we went 4-1, right? That's good numbers. We gave you 6 picks. The Gonzaga-Kansas game was canceled, so there was really, nothing we could do about that. But 4-1, can't beat that. So, well, you can, 5-0, but 4-1 ain't bad at all. We'll take it. Move us up to 6-3 on the season. But we got a lot more coming at you, and we're going to go rapid fire because we got a lot of action. The most picks in the history of Thoughts and Hunches are coming at you right now. We're going to start with Ncaa Basketball. Tomorrow, Saturday, Florida State versus Florida. We're going to take FSU minus 2.5. Florida State's playing really well. Florida's a surprise, sneaky good team coming out of the SEC, but FSU right now is way too athletic, and their bench is very, very deep. We're going to take Florida State minus 2.5 at home. Next up, you're going to start to see a trend in a lot of these games. But anyway, Notre Dame plus 6.5 against Kentucky. Kentucky's a 6.5-point favorite. We don't know how. They're losing games. And they're losing games badly. They're not playing well. They're losing games to schools that aren't very good. And Notre Dame's solid, if not unspectacular, ACC team this year. But if UK is going to give them 6.5, we're going to take them. Notre Dame plus 6.5. There's pick number 2. Pick number 3, we're going to take Tennessee. The Vols tomorrow minus 7.5 against Cincinnati. This is a good matchup right here. Two teams that face off every single year, and Cincinnati's won the last 2 meetings over Rick Barnes, and Rick Barnes only played 1 game. UT's only played 1 game because of COVID nonsense, not nonsense, but COVID-related issues. Anyway, we're going to take Tennessee to bounce back strong. Cincinnati hasn't really looked that good. Granted, they're 3-1, and their only loss was in the crosstown shootout against Xavier, but the teams they're playing aren't very good, and they're struggling right now. We like Tennessee. Lay the 7.5. Big number, but lay it anyway. Vols roll. Game number 4, we're going to take Boston College plus 4.5 against Syracuse. The Cuse hasn't really shown us much early on. They're struggling to shoot it from downtown, which usually is their calling card. BC has a bunch of slashers on their team, and they've played really well. We've actually watched them in a couple games, and they look really, really good. We like BC plus 4.5, and if you're feeling adventurous, go ahead and take them on the money line and watch BC dance. Next up, we're going to take TCU minus 1.5. They're a short favorite at home against A&M. TCU's bigger. Plain and simple. A&M is good, and A&M can shoot, and A&M is going to make some noise in the SEC this year, but TCU is just better. TCU has the opportunity to be a top 10 team. So we're going to go with the Horned Frogs minus 1.5. Next up, Wichita State plus 3.5. We're going to take them against Oklahoma State. Wichita State, with the Greg Marshall mess and the firing of the coach that brought all these ball players in, they kind of have a chip on their shoulder. It's taken them a while to round into form, but they're already starting to play well. Oklahoma State does not have the depth at all. They're only 6 or 7 deep. They do have 2 big-time scores, but the depth is going to hurt them down the stretch. We like Wichita State plus 3.5. That's another money line play if you like. Next up, call it a homer pick. My alma mater, Cal State University, Sacramento, plus 6.5 at Santa Clara. Hey, the Hornets have played well out of the gate. The Hornets are, believe it or not, are actually talking NCAA tournament this year. We're going to take them. Santa Clara is a better team. Santa Clara is much bigger and deeper, and they're laying 6.5, but that's a big number. We think the Hornets are going to jump in under the gun and catch the back door. So Cal State, Sacramento plus 6.5. Next up, we're going to stay on the West Coast and go Loyola Marymount minus 1.5 at home against UC Santa Barbara. Loyola right now is shooting well. They're playing with a whole bunch of confidence, and Santa Barbara can't seem to get their footing right. So we're going to take Loyola, minus 1.5 at home. Next up, Auburn, plus 6.5 at Memphis. We like Auburn. Memphis is getting all the press because Penny Hardaway, the head coach Penny Hardaway, is recruiting well, and he's got these guys playing really good ball. But they're a little bit overvalued, and that's the problem. Is that another touchdown? It is another touchdown. It's 35-0 ASU, by the way, in the Territorial Cup. And there's still 10 minutes left in the second quarter. This is a beautiful thing when you're only laying 9.5. So I can change the channel. Forgive me a second while I change the channel and check on Georgetown. Took the Hoyas tonight against Nova, the better team. And 11.5. Well, it's a commercial. Anyway, so back to Auburn. Auburn is big and physical, and Bruce Pearl is nobody breaks the rules better than that guy. So we're going to take Auburn plus 6.5 at Memphis. Next up, Utah and BYU are facing off in the basketball version of the Holy War. This is always a good matchup. 2 big, strong, physical teams. BYU wants to unseed St. Mary's in the WCC this year, but Utah right now is, Kyle Whittingham, Larry Kristoviak has done a great job and has built a good program there at Utah, and Utah has eyes on the Pac-12. We're going to take Utah plus 1.5 in Provo, and see what happens. That's another money line play if you like. Last two games that we're going to play. Clemson minus 1.5 against Alabama. Alabama is short and quick, but Clemson is bigger, stronger, and much deeper, and Clemson is a much better team. I'm not really sure. It looks like something fishy at 1.5. My projections have Clemson should be at least 5, but we'll take Clemson. We'll roll. That's going to be our lock of the day for college basketball tomorrow. And finally, we have Washington plus 7.5 against Oregon. And again, big number. 2 Pac-12 schools trying to start the season, the conference season in the right way. The schedule now has gone over to conferences, and you're going to see a lot more interconference play starting with the next week or so. And COVID-19, throw that out the window, and it's going to be an interesting season. But COVID-19 is going to make it even more interesting because of everything that's going to go on. But 7.5 is a very big number to lay for Oregon, especially up in Seattle. We're going to take the Huskies. There's your 12 pack. That's an even dozen NCAA basketball picks. I mean, come on. I'm giving you 12 already, right out the gate on a Saturday. Boom. Out of those 12, 7-5 is a winner, but 8-4 is a really good day. So that's what we're going to shoot for. Next up, we're going to move on to college football. 8-6 last week, not our best week, clearly not. That's 56-33-1 on the season. That's 62.92%. That's a shade under 63%. Tell me anybody else that's hitting 63% of their college football plays and gives them to you like this, like I do, right? I'm not calling you saying, give me $10 and I'll give you my winners. No, I'm handing them to you right now. And at 63%, come on. And last week I gave you 2 locks of the day in NCAA football. Guess what? They both hit. Of course they did. It's what I do. So anyway, NCAA football, here we go. Rivalry weekend for most conferences, not the SEC. They did theirs last week, but a lot of the others, big-time rivalry games going on. We're going to start in the SEC Saturday morning, Arkansas, Alabama. They're playing in Fayetteville, and I've bet against Alabama twice this year, taken 30-point numbers, and I've lost both of them. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take Arkansas plus 32.5. That is a huge number. Bama's locked into the number 1 seed. As long as they don't lose, they could win tomorrow's game by 1 point. They won't lose. They won't get knocked out of the playoff. They won't move down a spot. They'll still be the number 1 team in the nation no matter what happens, as long as they win, and they will. But they ain't going to win by 5 touchdowns. So we're going to take Arkansas plus the 32.5. Next up, we have Illinois and Northwestern. Northwestern seems to be the darling of the media in the Big Ten this year because they've notched some big-time upsets. And they were on pace to play in the Big Ten championship game, but the Big Ten championship is all a mess right now. So who knows who's going, who knows who's not. Northwestern can still get in there, and they're at home laying 13.5, but guess what? We're going to take the Fighting Illini. The thing with Illinois is they're not very good. The thing with Northwestern, they're not very good either. Northwestern can't score, right? We see this game 17-6. Northwestern wins easily, but doesn't cover. Give us the Illini. Next up, we're going to take Utah at Colorado in a pick'em. It's a straight-up pick. And now we're at Kyle Whittingham. We already said his name once. Utah's solid. Utah's a very good team. Colorado is up and down. And last week was up. This week will be down. Utah gets the win. Pick 'em in Boulder. Next up, we're back on the train again. Here's the problem with last week's video that I put out there. For some strange reason, I skipped over the biggest game of the weekend last week, which I thought was Coastal Carolina and BYU. I did mention it in my comments that BYU was my pick, even though I'd been riding Coastal Carolina to 5 straight covers. I bet against them last week, and they burned me. Well, never again. I'm back on the Chanticleers bandwagon. Coastal Carolina minus 13.5 at Troy. Lock it in. Next up, Army-Navy. It's going to be odd not having this game as a standalone game because every year it is. They always play by themselves, but 2020 is certainly unconventional. Coach Ken, we love him, and he does a good job in Annapolis, but Army has turned the tide after about a 10, 15-year stretch where Navy was just dominating. Army's now won 3 in a row. They're going to make it 4 in a row. They're going to win, and they're going to win easily tomorrow. Navy's not playing well. Army's playing very well right now and is bowl-bound. So we're going to take the Cadets and lay the 7 against Navy. Usually, when I was growing up, it was take the underdog in the Army-Navy game and take the under because the final score was always 13-10. But that's not the case this year. I don't think there's much value in Navy unless you're going to bet them on the money line. But yeah, Army's the play, minus 7, and watch them roll. Next up, big game and a good game on the docket. North Carolina and Miami. This, it's usually it's not a big football rivalry, but Mac Brown, ever since he's been to Chapel Hill, has built a program, and they're doing big things there. Notwithstanding last week against, or 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame, when Carolina couldn't score. But Carolina can score with the best of them. Carolina can score with anybody. So Miami can too. Miami rolled last week, gave us an easy win and cover. But this one's going to be a good ball game. We're going to take Carolina plus 2.5 at Miami. Sorry, Dio. I know that's going to piss you off and all of your you cronies down there in South Florida. But sorry, your boys are going down tomorrow. Miami's having a great year. Miami's having a very good year. They win tomorrow. They're still not going to make the ACC championship game, but they could go into the Orange Bowl and finish the year 8-1 or 9-1 and go straight into the Orange Bowl. But they got to win tomorrow. Not going to happen. Mac Brown plus 2.5. Take the heels. Next up, Wisconsin and Iowa minus 2.5. Wisconsin's bigger. Iowa's playing well. Iowa's physical. Expect a low-scoring, pounded-out, grinded-out game. Both of these teams' specialties, but we're going to roll with Wisconsin. We're going to lay 2.5 at Iowa. Next up, we're going to take LSU plus 23.5 at Florida. And I say it like that because we do have a fiender on here who's Mr. LSU, says go Tigers and spelled his Geaux. He's a Chinese bandit honk who thinks that his Tigers are just the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, this year they imposed a self-imposed postseason ban on themselves when they're 2-5 or 3-5, 3-6, whatever they are. They're not a good football team at all. They can't score. They can't stop anybody. But we're going to take them tomorrow. We're going to take them plus 23.5. Florida, maybe they think they need style points, or maybe Kyle Trask's going to throw more so he can try to clinch the Heisman. But for some odd reason tomorrow, down in Gainesville, we're leaning towards the Chinese bandits. So take LSU and all those points. Next up, more points. We're going to take Mississippi State plus 6.5 against Auburn in Stark Vegas. Auburn is toast. Auburn is just done. They had a pretty good winning streak there after a couple games at the start of the season that were just like head scratchers that made you say, how the hell did they win this game when they should have lost? No, well, that's done. They're toast. They may lose this game outright in Stark Vegas. We're going to take Mississippi State plus 6.5. Next up, UCLA, USC, big matchup out west. USC's undefeated. Nobody gives them love. You know why? Because they ain't no good. That's why. Villanova came all the way back and took the lead. They now lead by 1. Anyway, USC is not very good. UCLA, obviously not a football school, and a whole bunch of years of not, they haven't even been in a bowl since 2015. Well, they're going to a bowl this year. They win tomorrow, they're going to stamp their ticket, and they're looking really good, and they've played well this year. So we're going to take the Bruins plus 3.5 against USC. They're playing in Pasadena. UCLA has won 12 of the last 19 in Pasadena against USC. So 12-7 in their last 19 games in Pasadena. That's not bad. We'll take them. Next up, Virginia Tech. We're going to take Rocco Mendenhall plus 2.5. Virginia Tech is another school that is just done. They're toast. They're just kind of running out the string right now and really, really hoping for this miserable season to end. So we're going to take the Cavs plus 2.5 up there in Blacksburg. Last 2 games on the board, back out west, San Diego State plus 16.5 at BYU. Yeah, BYU lost the heartbreaker last week, and most people think that they're just going to come back and they're just going to crush San Diego State. San Diego State can score. Don't sleep on San Diego State. And you're going to give 16.5 to Los Aztecos or Las Aztecas. We're going to take San Diego State plus 16.5. That one seems like an easy play. That is our NCAA football lock of the day. And finally, we're back. The Degenerate Special. Yes, that is now 6 consecutive weeks of losing the Degenerate Special. Now, it's kind of odd last week because we lost the game on Saturday night, which is the Degenerate Special. Even though there was a game on Sunday, right? It didn't matter what happened. The Degenerate Special was Saturday night. We won the game but lost the spread. It is what it is. 6 straight L's on the Degenerate Special. So we got to get off the schneid sooner or later. And this time, instead of picking a side, we're going to bet the total. UNLV at Hawaii. 2 bad football teams getting after it at Aloha Stadium. Under 57. Big number for 2 teams, especially UNLV, that can't score very much. It's a big number. UNLV's Hawaii's a 3 touchdown favorite. We're not going to lay those points. We're certainly not going to take those points. So Hawaii wins big, and Hawaii might win this game 41-10. That's an under. So there you go. There's your baker's dozen of picks for NCAA football. 13 plays, right? 8-5 is what we want. 9-4 is what we really want. But 8-5 will absolutely be more than thrilled about that. Finally, we move on to the NFL, the bane of our existence. It's been killing us. The NFL is just, we're 36-34-1. Somehow, some way, we have a winning record, but it is just ugly, right? The Sunday morning stretch last week was so ugly, and I can bitch and moan about bad beats and this and that. The worst beat of them all was we had Houston and Indy over 51, or over 50.5. The score was 27-17 at halftime. They had 44 points at halftime, and all we needed was 1 touchdown in the entire second half. You know how many points they scored in the second half? 2. 1 safety. That's it. Houston had a chance to win the game, drove the ball down, got to the 3-yard line with under a minute left. Plenty of time to score the game-winning touchdown, and they fumbled because they're Houston. Sorry, Thano, but they're Houston. It is what it is. Anyway, we've had some bad beats in the NFL. That was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. We went 4-6 last week. Obviously nothing to brag about, but that's what brought our overall record for the week down. NCAA basketball, we were 4-1. NCAA football, we were 8-6. That's 12-7. Those are solid numbers. We'll take that every single week. But the 4-6 NFL just kind of dragged us back down near the break-even point. But we'll take it as still a winning week. Now we move on to the NFL, where I don't bet anymore. I don't bet anymore on the NFL. I refuse to after last week's debacle on Sunday morning. It was just ridiculous because I made so much money on Saturday betting NCAA basketball and football that I rolled it all over Sunday morning and just got crushed. So no more NFL, but here's my picks. I will give you my picks and tell you who I like. Just know that I'm not betting on them. I bet on the NCAA basketball games I gave you, and I bet on the NCAA football games I gave you. So NFL for Sunday, for this weekend, we have Arizona -3 at New York Giants. Danny Dimes, really? Who's he ever thrown a dime to? Right? They've won 4 or 5 in a row. They're playing good football. The New York Giants playing really good football. But it ain't going to continue. They're still the Giants, and they're still shit. We're going to take Arizona to get off the schneid. -3. Kyler goes off. Game number 2, Dallas-Cincinnati. It's just 2 bad football teams. 2 terrible football teams. So why bet either side? Bet under 42.5. And the only way that game goes over is if Dallas's shitty, horrible, horrific defense gives up 5 touchdowns. But that's not going to happen either because Cincy can't score 5 touchdowns. So Dallas-Cincy under 42.5. Game 3, Houston -1 at Chicago. Houston has played a lot better lately. Deshaun Watson, they kind of realize that they're not going to make the playoffs. But after that miserable start, they've played well. Deshaun Watson has really played well. The Bears are a train wreck, period. I've learned my lesson. the last 3 weeks, they're just absolutely killing me, and I can't do it anymore. Sorry, Chicago. Houston minus 1.5 at Soldier Field. Yeah, we like the Texans. You're welcome, Thano. Next up, Miami +7, Kansas City. Here's the thing. Everybody looks at that and says, well, Miami's shit. No, Miami's not shit. The last 8 games, both Miami and Kansas City are 7-1 in their last 8 games. The problem is Kansas City's not covering numbers at all. They're just not. They're I don't know if it's playing the level of their competition or just squeaking by to get enough or get whatever it is. This game means a lot to Miami, and Miami wants to prove that they belong in the playoffs. And this could be a playoff preview come January. We're not going out on a limb and saying Miami's going to win the game. But Miami's going to definitely keep it close, and Miami could even slip through the back door. Give us the 7. You want to buy it up, take the extra hook, take it at 7.5, by all means. But we're going to take the touchdown. Tennessee minus 7.5 against Jacksonville. Tennessee bounces back. Tennessee just an absolutely ugly performance last week at home against Cleveland, where Cleveland just absolutely boat raced them. Not going to happen this time. Tennessee, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's done. Their season's toast. They need a quarterback in the worst way, and they're hoping that the Jets win a game so they can sneak in and somehow steal Trevor Lawrence out from under their eyes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Jacksonville loses. Jacksonville loses big. Next up, Indianapolis and the Raiders. This is going to be a good game. Again, could be another playoff preview. But in order for that to happen, the Raiders got to win a few down the stretch. The Raiders lost last week. You can say, they beat the Jets. No, they didn't. They were 8-point favorites. They lost, and they were losing in the second half. After blowing an 11-point lead, the Jets came back with a vengeance and took the lead and basically won that game. And on that final play, Greg Williams got fired because they're the Jets, just simply being the Jets. Well, anyway, the Raiders are back now. They're in Indy this time, and Indy is a tough out right now. They're a tough squad to beat. We're going to take the Colts -3. Phillip Rivers knows Las Vegas, knows them very well. He's been beating them for years. Well, I don't know if he's been beating them for years. It's kind of give or take. But Indy's been playing well, so we're going to lay the 3 at home. Also in this game, we're also going to bet the over in this game. So there's another play. So we like Indy and the over. Raiders and Colts can both score. The Colts have a sneaky good defense. The Raiders have no defense, and Phillip Rivers is going to carve them up tomorrow. But the Raiders will score. Let's not kid ourselves. The Raiders might even get into the 30s. They'll definitely get into the 20s, but they might even get into the 30s. Either way, this game goes over, Colts and the over. Next up, Buffalo Pitt. This is the big game of the weekend that everybody's looking at. Pitt is coming off their first loss of the season, which surprised many. Didn't really surprise me. I mean, I had Washington. The thing is, I've been so down on Buffalo all year long. I'm not a believer. Buffalo's playing some ball, and Allen is, he's really, really coming into my good graces. And right now, the MASH unit that is the Steelers, they are a complete mess. They got injuries all over the place, and they are ripe for the picking right now. Buffalo, late -1.5. God, this would be a great game if there were fans in Orchard Park. But it's still in Orchard Park either way. We're going to take Buffalo. We're going to lay 1.5. Watch them beat up on Pitt. Finally, last game of the week, Monday night, Baltimore-Cleveland. We like the Ravens. Something about the Browns. Did they shoot too hard last week and too many bullets last week and fired everybody up, and Baker Mayfield had the greatest game of his career? Tennessee's defense isn't very good. Well, a lot of people do that against, well, not a lot of people, but a lot of people are able to do that against Tennessee. You're not going to be able to do that against Baltimore. Cleveland's defense is still suspect because Yeah, the final score of that game was a lot closer than it actually was, and they were in prevent defense a lot. But Tennessee still moved the ball up and down the field, and if not for a couple turnovers, things might have been different. But anyway, we like Baltimore. Baltimore got off the schneid in a big way on Monday night. They beat up on Dallas. Yeah, it's Dallas, and Dallas stinks. And or actually, it was Tuesday. It wasn't Monday. I lose track of the days these days. So it's definitely a short week. Hence the low number. If it wasn't a short week and both teams were on equal rest, Baltimore would be up to 4.5. But no, they're only 2.5. Take that as a gift. Take your 2.5, or lay the 2.5 of the short favorite. So there you go. There's your 9 picks. There's your 9 NFL plays for the week. That gives us a grand total of 34 picks for the week that we just doled out. 34 in 30 minutes, a half hour. So 19 wins would be fine. We'll take it. 19 and 15. That's a winning week. 20, 21, 22. Once we get into the 20s, now you're talking about bigger profits. But anyway, there you go. I've laid them all out for you. 34 plays. Finally, the last part, the shout out segment. Gotta love the shout out segment. There are people that deserve shout outs, and today I'm going with three of my brothers from another mother. And these guys, I love all three to death. Start with the Gooch in the Bay Area because he's the Gooch, period. The Gooch should be shouted out every week. You know why? Because he's my boy. The Gooch has always been my boy. The Gooch will always be my boy. When you got a name like the Gooch, life is good. Next up, Double A. My boy Double A, my giant partner with the season tickets for years. How many games we went to at the Bell. How many World Series we saw, in playoff games and nervous games and running through the rain and doing it. Double A, miss you, brother. Miss you. Hum baby. Finally, my brother Simone down in Las Vegas. He's holding it down. He's been holding it down for a long time down there. He's coming up on big numbers down in Las Vegas. He's been there almost in Las Vegas as long as he was in LA. So let's not hold it against him that he's a Raider fan. That's okay, because a lot of you listening to me right now are Raider fans, and that's fine. That's who I cater to. You know why? Because Raider fans are the biggest scumbags, lowlives, hustlers, fienders, degenerates. That's what you are. That's who I cater to. Simon, love you, brother. Go Bruins. So that's it for the week. Your boy Stoney. Thank you one more time again for coming in, allowing me to come into your living room, fire some bets at you. Hopefully we can make you some more money this week. If you haven't subscribed yet, click that little button in the bottom right-hand corner, subscribe to it, so this way you don't have to worry about it ever again. The video every week that it's posted, it will find you. Thank you again. You all have a great weekend, and make sure to know that if you're going to win big, you got to bet big. And most of all, good luck to you.